we've kind of messed things up recently because December was the year. December was the year. It felt like a year. Let me tell you, man. December felt like a year. And it was the month of the cursed Hangout. We tried constantly. It's like, we're going to run a Hangout this weekend. And something came up all of a sudden. And we're going to run it this weekend. I think the first weekend was like, we were trying to recover from Worlds still.
We were at Worlds. Like, we were coming home from Worlds.
Well, that was the first weekend we couldn't do it. We knew that. So, yeah, this has been a bit of a rough patch. So December, we kind of just went... No Patron Hangout, unfortunately, but that's okay. We're gonna do 2 this month, and I'm gonna yank Tom and Jay into this because this is very hard for Amber. He's gonna be here for between a half an hour and an hour for the show. Yeah. Because Amber works very early in the mornings now. This is kind of that thing that happened towards the end of the year, which is good news for us, bad news for the Patron Hangout and the general content. She no longer has time to edit.
As you guys will probably notice, there has been a giant decline in content coming out of the channel, and a lot of that is just I don't have time to edit anymore. I don't have time to film anymore. I don't have time to play HeroClix anymore.
I think for the next little bit though, I know for a while we're gonna be purely live content, and I'm just gonna jam Amber into one of these types of shows where we just kind of babble about HeroClix for the week. Yep. Sound good? All right, our own little metal lab or our own little married lab. Yeah, the married lab. There we go. We're creating shows. We're creating content. We are creating ideas on the fly. Hopefully everything is going. I don't know if anybody's in the chat and yelling at us, but we'll see. Everything seems to be rolling fine at our end. OBS is yelling at me. YouTube is yelling at me. Everybody's saying I have a bad connection, but I blame Canadian internet. So we're going to try to work our way through this and whatnot. All right. So first things first, we got to get the question from the patrons so we can start to show off. The first question of the new year on the Patron Hangout actually comes from Nathaniel. Sorry, Mike, just give us a bit of a minute because he did get it in there first in the Discord. If you want to join us at patreon.com/marriedwithclix, you can get in on that Discord or in on this Patron Hangout.
Mike's showing off his list of questions that he always has.
I think I just made the list. But Nathaniel does ask, is it just me, or are another set of Venom chases just unimaginative and not exciting?
I don't know. It's hit and miss. Like, I wasn't interested in the Venom chases the first time they came around because I wasn't interested in the Venom characters. Like, the characters that had gone Venom in those sets.
Yeah, because it was like Hulk,
Punisher, and Hulk, and I think...
Oh, there's Spider-Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, this time around, we know we have Rocket, and I think these are more supposed to be based on the Venomized.
Oh, and there was a Thor.
Yeah. The Venomized storyline event that happened in the comics. Where a whole bunch of the symbiotes bonded to a whole bunch of different people, and there was like a whole Venom world. And we have seen Rocket so far. That got previewed. We're not likely to see it, but I would love to see any one of the Venomized all-new X-Men or X-Men Team Blue. Because pretty much everyone on the team got a symbiote, and Angel looks really cool, and so does Beast, because they use like Beast's mystic appearance and then made it Venom. Also Jimmy got it, and it would actually be really funny to be the first time we ever got a Jimmy Hudson HeroClix. It would be the Venom Jimmy Hudson. Other than that, I didn't really pay attention to who got Venomized during that storyline event. Sorry, we also saw Gwenpool.
Yep.
Gwenpool. Venom. So we know 2 of the chases so far, and I think there's only 6.
I haven't been paying attention. So. I actually find that not knowing how many chases are going to set makes me less angry.
It's a little easier.
It makes me less angry about the distribution of them. Yeah. Although I was quite relieved to find out how they distributed them for Batman the Animated Series. There was 12 chases, and they put them like 1 to 2 in every brick.
Yeah, there was one every brick, or 2 a chase, or 2 a case, and I know I'm well aware that I'm purposely leaning off because I just took off my sock.
How does that affect your face?
Shut up. That's why.
All right. So to jump to the defense of WizKids using Venoms now is the best time to apologize for What If. Because name me one thing about that set that was.
Was that the set where the Venoms were from?
What If was a set that the Venoms were from. They need to apologize for that set, and they are apologizing for that set. One, the problem with the Venom suit, the symbiote itself, is it's been on everything. Like, where's my Venom Galactus? I've seen that. I mean, granted, it was a Mysterio illusion, but still, I've seen it. It was a thing.
There was a Venom T-Rex from Old Man Logan.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to go ahead and say Venom is not as interesting a character as you guys all think he is.
And really, when it comes down to it, not even, like, Venom as his symbiote, but all of the other Clintars, I believe they're called. All they are just souped up versions of the character. So while we're going to get that symbiote trait that we've been getting with the plasticity and the poison and the automatic breakaway, all we're just doing is getting, like, that character.
I mean,
with that trait.
There are situations where things are slightly different. Like, the Gwenpool is a Venomized. Like, if you actually look at the way they work, they're a Venom-like, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, Gwenpool has that ability to take a damage from a friendly character and heal up a damage herself. And that's called, like, this isn't canon, so I can do it.
Right? Of course.
And Rocket, I haven't read Rocket carefully, but, I mean, Rocket Raccoon is definitely an interesting character to design around. So, I think it's more, there are going to be more creative characters with the Venom suits. Is it a lack of, no, it isn't, because, again, it's a lack of creative on Marvel's side, because how many things have had a Venom, have had the symbiote, and how many times have we got, oh my god, imagine that thing with the symbiote, and they generally deliver with that. I mean, we had the Venom Ghost Rider Hulk, right? Like,
yeah,
we have a figure of that. The fact that the symbiote exists is one of those things that they can paint a figure black, cue the Rolling Stones song, and just, it's Venomized, and it's probably been Venomized in the comic. So, yeah, it's not WizKid's fault that that it seems disinteresting. It's, you're starting to realize that the symbiote isn't as interesting as you think it is. There, I said it, and everybody hates me. The comment section is going to explode. Jason hates Venom. He's the worst person in the world. He doesn't know good comics. Like, I know good comics, and I know obsessed villains. Dr. Doom is an obsessed villain. He didn't have to dress like Reed Richards. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
All right, can I go on now?
Oh, please.
Okay. All right. All right. So, with my prepared, that's been sitting here for about a month now. All right, here's questions. Let's start out with okay, so let's just start with question number one, because I think it's a rules question here. Can't on the pick a power pieces, would it be wise to pick a willpower as the power?
Okay, strategically, it's not a bad thing so long as you're safe when you do it, if that makes any kind of matter. An example of this is sometimes if I had a chance to get away with my Jakeem Thunder, I would choose willpower so I didn't push. I'm trying to remember what my Jakeem loadout was, but I do remember not having access to willpower and would occasionally have to choose it. Of course, he was backed up with an, at the time, 75-point Power Cosmic Goblin King, so I had my actions covered. But ultimately, there's nothing wrong with choosing willpower so long as you're safe is the ultimate point I have to say. It's like, so... And I do it all, as an example, with the 75-point Goblin King, now that he doesn't have Power Cosmic, I have to do it all the time. And oftentimes, it's like, I need to choose willpower and probability control. And I do it, because I don't need to be pushing a 4-click character who's 75 points in my team, as a result dealing damage to him that's unnecessary. Don't take unnecessary damage if you can. The problem, of course, is do you need a better defense power? Sometimes. And in that situation, you just kind of have to suck it up and go, well, I need a better defense power and to not do anything this turn. So willpower is generally safe. It's just a matter of knowing what's going to happen if you do, like if I pick willpower, I'm in the middle of 4 other characters, and that whatever I do with that willpower doesn't make all 4 of those characters not attack me next turn, then yeah, willpower was a bad power to pick. But if I, if it's 4 guys that do 2 damage and I choose invincible, come at me, bro. it's that like where am I is always the case, and that's the thing with pick a power. There's no hard set rules to pick a power on the grand scale without a board and a situation in front of me, because that's the beauty of pick a power, is the power I should be picking changes with the board state constantly. I mean, if a figure moves up 3 more squares, I'm probably more likely to be choosing invincible than I am to be choosing my shape change, etc., etc. So like every movement, every action, every board state has its own set of powers to be picked. Granted, there's a certain number of them that are very common across a certain set of things, but for the most part, you generally know based on where you are in the game what you should be picking. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think you pretty much covered in the fact that there is really no wrong or right power to use, but it's everything is a wrong or right situation. So it's not like you'll ever have a useless power, but power can be useless if you use it at the wrong time.
Yeah, there's no wrong powers to pick. There's just a wrong situation to pick that power.
Yeah. There we go. He figured out what I was trying to say.
You even tried to lead with that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So always read the board state versus. So there's never a willpower is definitely not a good power to pick. Willpower is a good power to pick, so long as you're not going to die if that's the power you pick. So. Floor continues to be yours, Mr. Suh.
Alrighty, so carrying on with the pick a power thing, so I'm really, really stoked. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the regionals or the WKOs last month or 2 ago, and I missed out on the exospecs, and I got one of my players brought it with us to our regions. I got to play with it, and it's like, oh man, now I really want to get one, because it makes it so like it turns just about any piece into a pick a power piece now, and I can imagine how difficult now it must be to get one like it even on the secondary market. So
I did not being $50.
like,
I'm a bad radio host.
And so I just want to know, is there anything, all right, this is going to be like a 2-parter question. Is there anything against the rules about putting exospecs on a pick a power person already? And 2, crap, what was I thinking? All right, yeah, come back to me. All right. I don't know. Yeah, whatever it was right here a second ago.
I've been there. All right, Amber. I'm gonna pose this as a question to you, Amber.
Yeah.
Can I put my exospecs on my Jakeem Thunder?
Yeah.
Can I put it on my Goblin King?
Yeah.
Can I put it on my?
You want to put it
hat?
On some Morgan Le Fay? We can put it on Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay doesn't even choose a power. She has all the powers. She has all the movement powers. The correct answer is no. It is not against the rules for you to be putting exospecs on a character with pick power, but you do have to define what's being picked with what.
Yes.
Right. So, as an example, if I put my exospecs on Jakeem Thunder, he's a prime example. He's allowed to pick 2 powers, but I have to state which 2 powers that I'm picking on Jakeem Thunder are explicitly being chosen by Jakeem Thunder, and which ones I'm choosing courtesy of the exospecs. Because here's what's going to happen: if I do something stupid like choose a movement power with Jakeem Thunder, and then choose like I think was it one of them can be a defense power and the one that can be a movement. Anyway,
he's got a lot of rules.
Yeah, he's got a lot of limitations. But let's just say one of the powers I pick is a movement power, and the other one I choose is like a damage power. There we go. Movement and damage power. But then the next thing I do is I take my exospecs and I choose sidestep with it. Well, now I can't use the power I chose with Jakeem Thunder because exospecs explicitly says I can't use powers in that slot. Right, and now because the power in that slot is determined by what type of power that is. So if I chose And I don't think it says specifically in that slot. It says in that type of power. So if I choose a speed power, I can't use speed powers. If I choose the attack power, I can't use attack powers. So if I choose, I'm silly, and I go, hey, Jakeem Thunder is going to choose, one of my choices is going to be like charge and shape change. I think that's a combination you can choose. It's been a while since I played Jakeem Thunder. But then I go with my exospecs and say, I'm going to use hypersonic, or I'm going to choose sidestep. Well, now I've lost charge, and I've done something very stupid. So time to use that range. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is it's cool. It's all fine and dandy, but be aware of where the sources of the powers that you're picking are coming from, because that will cause a lot of that can cause collisions if you're not careful about where you're picking and when you're picking. There's also timing, because I think there's, with the exception of Jakeem, I believe is a beginning of the turn choose, but there's a lot of pick powers that are an active free action, right? So let's say I chose, a running shot with my pick a power character, running shot pulse wave, let's say. I make my running shot, it doesn't go so well, but I'm a sidestep away from safety. I choose sidestep with the exospecs. Doesn't matter if I can't use any more movement powers because I've used them now, and I sidestep to safety. That's an option, right? So it's not against the rules. It's actually, it makes these pick a power characters significantly more potent because you get 2 volleys of pick a power. Now that doesn't reset the initial powers, but it will give you additional powers to pick from. And it's generally making something greater. That's one of those situations that came up when the exospecs came up. Everybody turned around and was like, you know what? It makes every character great, and it's like, and it also makes the characters that are already great even better. Like imagine a Unimind choosing whatever it needs from its sideline, and then now it's got an exospecs to choose from as well. Like, so I'm choosing my defense power from my sideline, and I'm choosing my attack and movement powers from my exospecs. Like, even if I'm using a 165-point version, I very rarely see it use mind control. I mean, it's not a bad power to have, but it's the easiest to just be like, whatever, I don't care if it's gone power that the Unimind has. So, is there anything else you want to add there? No. Okay. Yeah, so, perfectly legal, perfectly fine, good idea. Great idea. Just be aware of where your source of power is being picked or coming from.
Yeah. So all right. So here's the second part of that question I was thinking of. Would it that ever that strategy with putting it on a pick a power? Would that ever break the game? Is it? I don't think it's right now. I haven't played anyone against that put it on a pick a power piece like it. But is it ever in danger of maybe breaking the game, where maybe having WizKids to take a look at it and say, maybe we should kind of limit its use somewhat, or maybe people are, because I do know there is a store that I semi-regularly play at that are these guys that like to build these teams that like to be hyper competitive with their builds like that, and want to exploit something like this. And is this ever like gonna trend toward game breaking?
I don't foresee it being massively game breaking myself. It can be dealt with. I mean, one of the big strategies of the game right now, one of the dominant strategies, is the Gotham City team, right? And if Gotham City team continues to dominate in the way that it does, it already has a built-in answer for the exospecs, which is win dice roll, choose the Penguin's Lounge map, take the Penguin token that you have, or one of the bystander tokens you have, pick up the light object and walk away with it. It's because it is only a light object, right? That's one of the key things to it, is it's just a light object. So it's very easy to get to it with one of these pogs, or to TK somebody and have that guy TK it. I don't think a TK character can use TK. That was a big rule. But ultimately, like, somehow use telekinesis to get it out of the way. Like, there's so many different ways in order to manipulate a light object right now that it can be just taken away on a dice roll, and I think that's a major factor that might even keep it out of the hyper competitive play, as long as Gotham City, thank you Tom, continues to dominate. And I mean, even the monster teams, the Tyler Spee's winning whale team, doesn't care, because it just throws beefy dudes at you. Like, it throws meat at you, And you can pick the powers that you want, but you're really only killing one-click characters or 4-click characters with stop clicks. You're not really getting anything extra out of the exospecs for that. And the power combinations you really want exospecs to work with actually don't work with it. So, for instance, if I have charge and I want to charge flurry somebody, well, I can't choose flurry from an exospecs because I've lost my charge. It's a very balanced out thing, and it's one of those things. It's a small part of what is big whole, and if it does show up in grand numbers, I don't think it's because it's that potent. I think it's going to be because it's just that useful, if that makes a matter of sense. So, like, it's not, I don't think it's game breaking necessarily, but I do think it's going to be useful and used, right? So, and that's a hard definition to look at. It's like, is it fundamentally destroying the way we play the game? Well, yes and no. I mean, we've been playing the game for a long time with powers on characters that they didn't start with. I mean, and when was the last time you made an attack with the stats you started with? Sealed? Even then, you're looking for the perplexes. You're looking for, like, even my Team Worlds team. I think my Iron Goblin made more attacks when it rolled with a +2 attack or a +1 to all stats than any other situation that it possibly could have come up with.
Yeah.
So, we're so used to it, this game, like at a competitive level, not playing with what's on the card, but not playing with the stats that it has. I feel like this is just one small part of the grander whole that we already have. I don't, and because it's movement and attack powers, it now begs the question is what character exists right now that lacks a movement power that becomes, oh my gosh, with the exospecs? I don't think that exists right now, right? I mean, I don't think anybody, I haven't said the words, it needs move and attack in a long time. Because I think they've generally been good about giving it to them. Or if it's a character that doesn't have move and attack, they're just bad beyond that.
Yeah. And I do find a lot of the characters where I'm just like, oh, this character could have done with, like, charge or sidestep. They're not the best characters to begin with, and a lot of the times I'm in that situation because it came up in sealed. Where, like, I'm playing a sealed character and I have no way of getting around this, or, like, more or less forced into having this character on my team, and it's like, damn, like, my god, that, I think it's the uncommon Captain America from Secret Wars Battle World, that is just horrible. Horrible, and, like, he has no movement powers. Not that putting exospecs on him to get a movement power would make him all that much
Isn't he, like, 40 or 45 points?
Yeah. Like, he's just not good. No, I think he's 50 because he's shifting focus. So he's got to go with all the other Captain Americans.
Oh, the uncommon one. There's 75. The uncommon ones are 70. Yeah. So they're all 75, but the uncommon one,
He's bad.
He's bad on his own.
Yes.
But he is, like...
He's good as a part of a package with the rest of the shifting focus. Except when I pulled him in sealed, I pulled 2 of only him.
Yeah, it's... So when it comes down to it, I don't see exospecs as the game-ending, game-all-being threat that a lot of people are screaming about, because we've already solved the problem. Mm-hmm. And when it comes down to it, now putting it on as a 12-point risk, am I going to be able to get it? Am I going to have to? Because I had a team that relied on a good portion of the team was the Venom harness, and using the Venom harness as a perked Captain Kirk. I did that on purpose. And what ended up happening was when I played against PJ, he grabbed it with a puff, and I was like, well, I'm about to lose a couple turns chasing a puffin, aren't I? And what's worse is the first attack I made against a puffin, I missed. So, and I just looked at PJ, I was like, you know what you're doing right now, don't you? I mean, of course PJ knows what he's doing. He's a really good player. But long and short of it is, the exospecs is just, in the current environment, is that just much of a threat. The next environment, we could see it show up, but at the same time, using TK and high movement is not a new thing, and it's not going to go away. We might even see the 45-point flash all of a sudden show up and start stealing exospecs from people. Because he's got a 14 movement. I'm just going to go grab it and take it back. Come at me. Rest of my team's going to do something to you, though. So, yeah.
That being said, I will not put it past WizKids to come out with something in the next year or two that will make exospecs more broken.
Absolutely.
Because that's happened more than once.
Yeah. Here, meet the 20-point character who allows you to start the game with an equip. You know that what is it? It would be the split lip of the exospecs. The specs all of a sudden becomes a 32-point thing or whatever. We'll see. Hopefully that character has enhancement like what split lip did. All right, quick jump into the Discord. So Nathaniel says, the WizKids Rock relationship, it seems to make a ton of sense to me. The WizKids gets more events with better price support. Rock sells more kits, and we get higher quality maps. Do you think this will help with the longevity of the game? It's going to help with the longevity of competitive play, that's for sure. There's going to be a lot of competitive play, but the problem is we got to be careful about how much competitive play we do play. It's not a bad thing to have more competitive play. Competitive players like competitive play, and competitive players like to get out to a lot of competitive play. Amber's not a competitive player. Not anymore. It's hard. Like, she does Team Worlds, I think, and that's about it. Her high competition is sealed. She doesn't like going to Constructed Modern anymore because she can't keep up. And
just don't have the time to practice.
Yeah.
And there's so little time to practice and so many things that come out too frequently to get my head wrapped around all of the possibilities that I have to think about. And I'm just like, I'd rather not think.
The other thing too is that like when I build for Amber nowadays, I mean, I've always been able to build for Amber, but she picks things and I can't build with it. And trying to tell her that I can't build with it is like talking to a child. And she's 5 feet tall. Anyway, where I'm going with this is that for the longevity of the game, it sets a very good precedence. The more singularly focused competitive play we have, it's great. These rock events putting points towards our national and worlds events, I love that. In fact, I'm going to start collecting for worlds because I seem to be able to consistently get my nationals points. Excuse me. Weird phlegm buildup from the winter. Anyway, so I'm kind of looking at this and saying, I like this. I like the idea of having incentive for the rock. There's no longer a difference between rock and WizKids. Is the big key, right? And that was a big sticking point I found was a problem with the rock. And it's not like, oh my God, the rock is bad, because it was a sticking point that I always came up with where it's like, I'm getting a new player into competitive play. And they're like, oh, I heard there's a really big tournament at X event. And it's like, well, okay, cool. That's a great event. It's like, yeah, and this map is a prize. Like, it used to be like, you can't use that map. The map is only good for the rock events. So you now got to devote yourself to the rock. Now that's gone. That whole thing is out of the question, and it's no longer an issue. So we can go now to rock events, and use that map in another WizKids tournament. I can go to Worlds with that, I think is the key. I don't know. I'm still not 100% clear on everything just yet. There's still some clarity issues. Like I'm kind of just coming back from the holidays, and I know I've got a lot of stuff to read up on. I got a lot of stuff to look at, and I've not done a lot of the research that I should be doing on this rock stuff, and I'm probably going to do it, before tomorrow's episode, so that I fully understand and grasp it right before I probably kick Jay off my show. No, I'm just kidding. Kicking him off my show for like the 80th time. But yeah, I'm going to have to talk to Jay about it, because Jay's got a better understanding of this rule system than I do.
He's all part of it now.
He's a big part of it, right? So, long and the short of it is, I think it's great for the game in general to have more play. And I like that it's all unified now. But I don't necessarily I think HeroClix, if it can grow and can hit that magic level, then we need our equivalent of Star City Games, etc., to be able to exist. Because, one of those big things, I always come back to Magic as a comparison to HeroClix, because it's a comparison of what's a big game doing that has a large number of players show up for really, really like massive events, or even smaller events and smaller events beyond that. Like when I see a pre-release for Magic the Gathering, and there's 35 people, and they say this is a very small pre-release. I was like, what? And then I go to a HeroClix pre-release, and we're singing the praises of a 20 person. How did we get all these people in here? Right? So we are a small game when we compare it to that scale. Because you go to a Grand Prix, just go to a Grand Prix. If you're a Magic, don't even have to be a Magic player. Just walk into the building and see how many people are there playing a card game. So when I say Magic does this and this is why it's comparable, this is what I'm talking about. It's like big versus us. We're still in that small, gotta grow thing. I think this will grow the game competitively, and competitive play is the front-facing part of the game. That's what more people will see. Nobody, because I mean, I love casual play. I love my tabletop, my 400, 500 point silly games and everything like that. But nobody talks about that because what's there to be gained with it? And that's when there's something to be gained. That's where the conversation goes, right? And I'm not gonna poo-poo casual play. I love playing casually. I love whipping out comic-based teams, even though sometimes it won't be keyword-based. Whatever. I love not caring about probability control. I brought Cowboys to my last event, and I think I did pretty good. I went 2-1 with the Cowboys, but one guy had a.
You always do pretty good locally, though.
Yeah, but one guy brought a stealth team. I was like, oh, well, I lost. So, because Cowboys have guns but can't see through the bushes. They're used to fighting in the desert. Anyway, so it's good for the longevity of the game because we have more tournaments, two groups running the tournaments, still one unified rule set, and that's a big part of it. Is like that unified rule set is the major important thing. It's a shame that some of the good stuff from The Rock is gone, but at the same time, some of the good stuff from The Rock was not organizer friendly or logistically friendly, right? Like I loved Last Round, but logistically, it's not fair to the stores because it does add time to the game, and they do have to schedule things out. I liked it, but again, and WizKids has to kind of slam the hammer on their things. It's a shame that Rock Age is not like an official format anymore. That's WizKids. WizKids has to focus on modern, and I understand why, because it's a licensed product. They can't encourage vintage play because it doesn't do them any good. They don't re-release product because those licensee issues are just a nightmare to deal with on that. Again, go back to Magic. They re-release vintage product all the time with the exception of the reserve list. Look, there's the angry guys in the comments. Anyway, so it's good, I think, as a whole, and I'm going to shut up about it now. Amber, anything you want to add to it? Because I babbled.
I have two things about it. One good, one bad. My big concern is having these maps come in. Now I know that there is only a select few that have been approved to go forward, and then everything going forward does also have WizKids approval. Like they have to look over it to make sure that yes, this is going to be a modern age map. My only concern on that is the availability of it.
Well, Howard has said they're going to be selling the maps after the events.
Okay.
So that's a thing.
I mean, yes, so they will be available for sale, and it's not like WizKids sells their maps, to be brutally honest. Like, unless you get a map in a starter set, you have to hope that you get a map off of your venue that you go to. Like, if you don't have a regular venue that gets the maps, then there's a whole set of maps that you're not getting. So at least there is that these maps are going to be sold to the public, which is fantastic. So yeah, I think I'm just hesitant about the maps until I can see that it's going to be okay.
Because as Canadians, we get raked across the coals for...
Yeah, because that's the only thing is, like, for us, they're going to be super expensive for us to get these maps.
I mean, it's going to be $20 for the map and $20 for the shipping.
Yeah. On top of that, the one thing I am looking forward to is the fact that The Rock has always had a very clear and very defined tournament rule set of how to run a tournament under The Rock. And with this merger, I'm really hoping that nice, long, very clearly defined document can basically just be handed to WizKids and be like, hey, WizKids, here's how you run a tournament.
Well, WizKids has announced that they are adopting that attendance to round system.
Which is fantastic, which is what we needed. So I'm very happy that like I said, very clearly defined document that will move over to WizKids, because I think that's what they needed, because that was one of the problems, is that when they did their big rules shift back in 2017, they got rid of the tournament document. I think actually that tournament document was missing before the rules set, where there was still an old copy of it floating around, but you really had to dig deep in to find it. It wasn't like just on their website like it used to be. So that, I think that was something that was missing, and I'm glad to have something like that back.
All right. While we were talking, Lucas Van Holland showed up. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Just thought I'd stop by. Nate White and George Massey just got done playing, so fun game to watch.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, that was the George Massey Nate White showdown match was tonight.
Yep, they just got done playing that. George won. Yep.
We don't call him the.
I believe I watched Nate miss at least half of his attacks, if not more. It was pretty brutal. But and then George was also playing Trelane, so when Nate thought he hit, he still didn't hit.
It's like I hit. Well, let's see about that 6.
Like George replaced a 1 on his own attack roll with Trelane's 1 just so he could re-roll Trelane's die for the future, and then he rolled a 6 for himself, and then he got back to a 1 again for Nate, and it was like, oh my gosh, George, you need to stop. But it was a good game.
George cannot be stopped. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, Mike, what do you got for me?
Alrighty, so what? Go with okay. So I saw Aquaman, and I think I mentioned in the Discord something like, "Oh, I can't wait! Like the next tournament I go to, I think I want to play in Atlanta. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I look. For this month coming up is in a couple weeks. There's going to be a tournament. It's got like I guess like. Encourage 10 Polish type of things, and I want to know your opinion on like because I'm sorry, let me slow down a little bit here, because the requirements was like I think it's like either 300 or 400, somewhere around that where you can put 100 points towards a single character, but you have to surround it with a bunch of no names. Like and I guess kind of like make a tent pole of it, and like I guess it's kind of the situation so you can focus in on putting in a whole bunch of like no-name soldiers or something like that, or just like have a Star Sapphire surrounded by the Star Sapphire recruits or something like that. And but I want to know, in your opinion, how strong would an Atlantis tentpole team look like? Yeah, like depending on who I would pick, I guess. Of course, I guess I have a whole bunch of generics to work with an Atlantis team. Like, how strong of a thing would I be going in, or should I go to somewhere more along like a police or something for this type of scenario?
How many of the the gravity feed trenches did you acquire?
I want to say like either like 2 or 3 or something like that.
Okay, so
I
like
might
20.
not be in. No.
Just checking. Because the trench was probably one of the best Atlantis from back in the day. Best Atlantis based generic that I can remember. The funny thing about Atlantis is it's one of those ones that you get away with murder on the theming of it, because Atlantis is a non-generic keyword that's both DC and Marvel. It's a rarity in the grand scheme of the game of HeroClix, because that doesn't usually happen, right? So you could, I'm not suggesting that you necessarily do this, but you could go ahead and take the Atlantean warriors from Avengers Defenders War and use them to surround your Aquaman. Be it King Aquaman, or I think one of the movie ones was really strong too. Was it the Fast Force one? I remember playing against one where I was like, this is a nightmare. What am I dealing with right now? I think it was just the main set Batman versus when he occupies water. yeah, there's the 110 point version from Dawn. Is this Golden Age? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, because if it wasn't Golden Age, you're not playing Atlantis.
Well, no, you got King Aquaman.
Yeah, but what are you going to surround him with? There's
The
no
Atlantean Warriors from Avengers Defenders War. I just said this.
True.
Because the other thing is they get better with a character with the Atlantis and Warrior ruler keywords nearby.
Yeah.
And guys like Namor and and Aquaman tend to share ruler and Atlantis. They're basically the same character when it comes down to it. Yeah, I said it. What's up? One has wings on his little booties, and the other one talks to fish. I mean, come on. The same character, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. But in the long scheme of things, I think it's not useless, but it's not great either, because the Atlantean Warriors do need a ruler and Atlantis dude to be good, but they do get +1 attack as a result, which is awesome. And they also have close combat expert. They have charge, so like that. If you can just kind of get there and you get a chance to use close combat expert with their combat reflexes, and somehow it works for you, that is not bad. It's just there's. If you're looking to win, yeah, there's better things you can go with if you want a dude and a bunch of generics. Like the Joker with any number of dudes he can mastermind damage to. Or, I mean, in my version of, in the Everyman format, people have constantly been sending me teams with Talons surrounded by the Owl initiates. Yeah, I can't believe how frequently that team gets played in some of the reports I've been getting, because it's really good. And like it's not a bad idea either. There's a lot of directions you can go with this. If it was me, I'd probably go with a really strong Black Panther and a bunch of Wakandans, because I went out of my way to acquire like a ton of Wakandans. Like I've got a box with the special edition of Borderlands 2. Came with a sticker that says Minions on board, and that box that I stuck that sticker on is currently full of hand ninjas and Wakandan warriors. And demons. Yes, those have been a bit of a pain in my butt to acquire, but
yeah, those were harder to do.
Those were hard. The Belphegor, I love Belphegor. I'm you know what? I'm gonna compete with Belphegor before he becomes not legal.
Not a while, but he will show up.
What would you do if this is your scenario? I mean, what's your opinion on the Atlantis situation, and what's your opinion on other things?
Well, I actually just double checked to make sure that Giganto was actually a named character and not a generic whale. With unfortunately, he is not a generic whale.
Individual Gigantos.
I think it's hard because right now, I mean, with Golden Age, you're opened up to a lot of things. We do have the Atlantean Warrior. We have Trench. I think there's another Atlantis Warrior.
Yeah, mermaids. Lori Lamaris and her exploding mermaids.
Yes. Now, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to use Lori. But there's another Atlantean. That's the other guy I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
And they get +1 to all their combat values when they occupy water terrain.
The Trinity War Atlantean.
Yeah, which is the same set that the Trench came from.
I just said something below super rare in Trinity War is interesting. Things I never thought I'd say.
Yeah, so I mean, with Golden Age, you get opened up to a lot of things. This is something that, like, I honestly would play an entire team of, like, Mira and mermaids. So, like...
She has done it!
Like, asking me my opinion on this, sure, go for it. I mean, it all depends on what you want out of this tournament. Like, if you're going into this be like, God damn, I need to win, maybe not. But if you're like, yeah, I really want to run this Atlantis team, go for it.
I beat that up with robots, didn't I?
I don't remember. But I absolutely did play a team that was just like Lori Lamaris.
Back when I was able to practice competitive play with you, I remember this now. There was a time where I had a robot team that used a Mandarin's power plant with a bunch of Ultrons. And there was like a miasma of Ultrons and ID cards and the power plant.
I remember this now, yeah, because I had the Atlanteans and the mermaids and Lori Lamaris, and I think there was something else that I was using in there. But
yeah. And I actually remember having a hard time maintaining my distance because I think in our first practice game I killed myself. And I was like, wait, what?
So anyone that's not familiar with the mermaid, she came from the Superman Wonder Woman set. And she has an ability called Charm the Weak-Willed. And it's when she is targeted with an attack by an opposing character that can't use willpower, Mermaid modifies her defense by 2. But then when you put her with Lori, where is that? So Lori has the sea sings of them. When Lori Lemaris or a friendly character named Mermaid is KO'd by an opposing characters within 5 squares of the KO'd character that occupy water terrain are each dealt 2 penetrating damage. Now this was at the time that we had a flooded Wakanda and Atlantis throne room. So we had 2 almost completely full water maps. So it was very easy to end up on a map where it was just water and we had exploding mermaids.
I think the Pacific Ocean was still legal at that time too.
Yeah. So there was a decent amount of water maps at this time, and it was very easy to just have a whole bunch of mermaids out there and just have them explode on people, because when you think of a 5 square radius, that's 5 squares one way, but also every other direction. It ended up being a huge bubble explosion of just, and it's penetrating damage. It's just like, all right, so this guy's from over here is attacking you, but this guy over there is going to go blow up because the mermaid just died. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was very happy with this team of exploding mermaids. If you have any mermaids, go for it. Have them explode because it's fun. But yeah, there's a decent amount of Atlanteans that you can go with this. Now, personally, if I was to go into this scenario and not being constrained to using Atlantis, I think I would have fun with a full-pointed Headmaster Wolverine and a whole bunch of trainees and students.
Yeah, you would.
Personally, I would. But yeah, so I think that's
what you would do?
That's what I would do.
Lucas, what would you do?
So, if it's modern, the only Atlantis figure worth playing is going to be the Throne Namor from Civil War. Because if you play him with the ADW Atlanteans, he's pretty gross. They all get +1 attack, so they're in water, so they get +2 attack. He's got leadership. A friend of mine actually played 2 of those Namors together, so both of the Namors were all buffed, and all the Atlanteans were +3 attack. If I don't have HC Realms up, I don't have the ability to right now, but I can't remember. Does the Atlantean Warrior have does he have exploit or something?
The bystander or the one from
the ADW one?
No, he has a close combat expert.
That's what it is. Yeah, so they had a +3 attack with a +2 damage, so they were hitting like trucks. And then the Namors would just sit in the back, and then you had a full. When he was playing it, he had a full round table, so he was just spinning up. So okay, kill my Atlantean Warrior, spin up the round table.
Yep.
The only problem that team had was if you lost map and didn't get a water map, you were kind of screwed. So
yeah,
but it's pretty powerful. That Namor is very good. He gets to make his bystanders. If you have the Atlantean Warriors on the map with him, does a lot of really cool stuff. We just played this format actually at my local store, and same friend, he played Ultron. So what he did was he played Ultron 18.2 with, and then he used 2 Ultron 1s and all the other Ultron drones, and it was physically impossible to kill him because we did figures only. So you couldn't pulse wave the Ultron 1s unless you had pulse wave on your team. You couldn't kill the Ultrons because he got 2 chances to bring them back. It was brutal. Very good though. The Ultrons are still good in many different formats for sure.
Yeah. It's basically PJ's team without the Colossal Retaliation.
Pretty much, yeah. It was bad. I was playing the Thor from Pure Itself, the 275.1 with a whole bunch of Asgardian trolls. Just my army of trolls that marched up. The problem with that is Thor existed before Invincible. Thor needs Invincible very badly. And he's good against high point figures because he gets +1 defense for every 100 points of the attacker. But when you're attacking him with somebody that's like 90 points and has Pensai, well, then they just need to roll like a 6, and they can hit him for 5, and he falls off super hard. I did manage to hit the glorious 11 damage with 1 attack, though, because I did his Odin's Power of Odin once per game. You can do it as a range or close action instead of a double power action. And I managed to crit hit while rolling the 6. So I did 11 damage with that Thor. But no, I would say mermaids are definitely a strong option. I mean, anything that does damage because it exists is good. I mean, I don't see a problem. And they have the Atlantis keyword, right? So just, find a good Namor, throw them and Lori on, and just run them down the field, I guess. I don't know. Use that. Was it an Aquaman? Was it Aquaman or Namor that brings water with him as he moves up the map? That's what I'm talking about.
I know I know what you're talking about. Was that Namor or Ocean Master? Wait.
I thought it was one of the bad guys that did it.
Invade your territory trait. You may play. Okay, well, you can use invade your territory with the Nick Fury Namor. Shoot, I feel like it was an Aquaman.
Might have been. Yeah, there was one of them. It was either Aquaman or Namor that when he moved up all the squares, then the square that he occupied and back towards your starting area was all water terrain.
No, that was the Phoenix Force Namor.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Where he turned half the board into water or anything behind him into water?
Exactly, yeah. So you use him with the mermaids, so you have water terrain no matter what map you're playing on.
Come, ladies, let's go party.
Exactly.
I got lots to drink here.
And then you just let Lori sit in the back of the map, because you're not killing that Namor that quick. You know, those Phoenix Force guys are no pushovers. So, But that's what I would recommend.
All right. Mike, I hope you got the creative juices flowing from that.
All right, just real quickly though, let me reread this. I pulled up the email here. It says, no names, 400 points, golden age. At least 300 points on the team must be generic figures, ones that have real name, various on their card, or otherwise don't represent a particular named character. For example, a GCPD team with Commissioner Gordon leading them. And that's what it says for 2 weeks.
So you get 100 points of named characters and 300 of generics.
Yeah.
That's a little bit harder.
It's much more difficult, for sure. But I think you're on the right path, like similar paths. You just got to find the right name or Aquaman outfit in that point value.
I don't think you'll be able to do exploding mermaids with that because you do need the Lori.
Well, no, but the Lori's only like 33 points or something like that.
Yeah,
and it said at least 300 has to be generic. So use the rest on mermaids.
Like I said, run that Namor. He's 100 points.
Yeah, because the Phoenix Force Namor is... I'm going too far back. But you still need Lori, which...
She's 45 points.
She's 45. Yeah, just Lori and the Mermaids. I mean, honestly, if your team is Lori and the Mermaids, you're an Atlantis named theme team with what kind of map bonus?
Yeah, because she's 45 and the Mermaids are like 33.
If you lose map bonus, they deserved it. I'm going to say that. You also still have Incapacitate and Mind Control from what's her name?
Yeah.
From Lori. So, I mean, just use their team to kill their team then if you lose the water.
You are never guaranteed to win map, that's for sure.
Yeah.
In States last year, I had a plus 11 monster theme, and I lost map at top 4.
Ouch. I think my monster team, I still have yet to lose map roll. But, I mean, I may have cursed myself just now. So, the next time I play it, it will lose map roll, I'm sure. So, all right. Michael, next on the list. And this is going to be Amber's last one, I think. Even if Amber, are you going to stick around for this one?
I'll answer the question. But then
okay, cool.
Alrighty, so all right. Given that it seems that the ID cards are starting to get like, at least I guess with the exception of the Gotham Sitting team, I'm like, well, I guess you can go with like the villains or something like that. Maybe I don't know, but the ID cards are heavily integrated with the competitive play now. Do you foresee a fresh new sets of ID cards now? Like, because I guess it's not becoming more just like a gimmicky type thing now. This is like, I guess now driven by competitive play now that they almost, well, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they almost have to start making a fresh new set of ID cards because everybody seems to be enjoying using them and playing them. From like what I guess what started to be just like this little gimmicky thing, it's everybody's using them and like them to play them.
Okay, Amber, what are your thoughts on this?
I was genuinely convinced that when the round table and the teleporter rotated out of Modern, that we were going to see the end of ID cards, and then they showed up in Xavier's school. And I felt like we were kind of blindsided by that we weren't expecting ID cards to come back. But then they came back, but then they didn't, in a sense that they were no longer really dependent on needing the resource for it. So we did kind of see the end of resources, even though we do still technically have some in Modern.
Punisher Fan doesn't count. And the Blackbird, right?
Yeah, the Blackbird.
Mm-hmm.
But those are very dependent on the actual figure. You need those. But then we see, like, we have the student ID cards, we have the villain ID cards, and we have the bounty cards. So in the last year alone, they've introduced 3 new types of ID cards. So I don't think we're going to see an end to them anytime soon. They're definitely not going to die the way that I thought they were going to die. Mm-hmm. That being said, they've already kind of proven that they don't have to be in every set, as long as we have a decent splattering of them every year. And even if we just have like 1 set per year that has ID cards in it, that should be enough, because they seem to like having ID cards as their exclusive incentives. So we saw the villains show up as con exclusives, and we saw the bounties show up as a storyline event, and we've had regular ID cards show up as participation prizes for WKOs. So that kind of gives them license to really limit the amount of ID cards that they are bringing into the game, and still say, hey, we have ID cards, without kind of having that pressure of needing them in like every other set.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. The way I see it is that ID cards sell more figures, and it's that situation. I keep saying it every time I talk about ID cards. ID cards aren't bad because I get to use more of my collection in the game. Now, granted, a lot of it sits on the side waiting for me to use an ID card, and I only get to use it for a turn. But it's still, I own 100 figures. I bring 5 to a tournament. That was kind of depressing. That's why I also played Swarm. So, the ID cards say, okay, well, I bring a team of 5 guys, but I also have like 5 or 6, or I have 5 ID cards on the side. So now I'm bringing 10 characters. I needed 10 characters for my collection minimum, right? If I'm just a strictly competitive player, which means WizKids sees it as they need to double the figures, which means, people say singles don't affect WizKids sales. They do, because the stores open the packs. They have to buy those packs to open the packs to get them in there, and they get the cells and everything like that. And they'll open more and buy more if that's everything is happening for them. So that's here and there. I needed to double up my collection. I needed more figures than I needed before, which means grand scale, or the big picture, is that WizKids sells more figures by putting these ID cards out there, because for every 1 figure they need, now they need an ID card and another figure, and they gotta buy the pack to get that ID card. Then they gotta buy another pack to hope to get the character that the ID card comes with, because goodness, heaven forbid you pull the character on the ID card in the pack that you got the ID card in. That's becoming like a, how did I do that situation? Like, I look back and I got lucky when I pulled the shield level 7. Like, I pulled that in a pre-release. But also, it's for everybody who hates them. I think there's small scale thinking in the fact that, like, it's a thing that I didn't think about because I didn't use them. Well, it's time to, if you're not going to use them, just know how to use them. I I mean, that's always been my strategic case. It's like, you know, I've played against a lot of guys who were little like, I lost your ID cards. It's like, why didn't you plan for this? What did you expect to come and it wasn't going to happen? You know what I mean? It's a thing. People are talking about this. This is not nonsense. And, you know, they pull the, oh, I hate them. It's like, well, you can hate them all you want. They're here. And people like them. And the people who don't like them are a loud majority. A loud minority. What we like to call the vocal minority. Because nobody who's happy is complaining. So we have nothing to say. We will continue as we were. The people who are unhappy are the people who are going to be loud. But when it comes down to it, I mean, in our Discord, we've had Drew, and then I can think of maybe 3 other guys who don't go to competitive play and play these, and are like, I don't understand them, or I don't get them, or they get angry when they lose to them. And that, like, grand scale, it's a cool mechanic. It allows me to use more of my figures. It allows me to be able to build a team I want to build that also has an answer on it. Because look at, Tom built Gotham City and was like, how can I make this good? Well, let's just bring a lot of things that I don't have answers for on the board, or a lot of things that keep my Gotham City team safe on the board, and was able to come up with what he came up with. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, extra elements that allow additional responses. And you know, again, it comes down to the fact that the ID cards sell the packs. People are happy. Like, compare how people felt in Battle Royales when we were getting bystander tokens versus the people who were getting ID cards at either end. Because, like, it was last year, I think, we were getting bystander tokens. And this year, we were getting ID cards. And the year prior to the previous one, we were getting the DC ID cards. And the year before that, we were getting Marvel ID cards. If you, like, look at those 3 groups that got ID cards in Battle Royales, it's like, oh, well, I lost, but I still got an ID card. Right? And I can sell that ID card for $100. I'm sitting on full sets of the con exclusive bystander tokens from last year. What the hell am I gonna do with those?
We got so many of those too, right? Just for placing well.
Yep. And like, even then, you know, when people ask to borrow my Devil Dinosaur tokens, I give them the con exclusive ones to use because I want to keep my nice ones nice and safe. The ones that aren't shiny and I can read. You know what I mean? Unless I'm not using it, then Tom can borrow my nice ones. Just Tom. But yeah, the long and the short of it is, WizKids likes ID cards because 1, the competitive players use them. 2, they don't create a state of the game where I'm not playing the game when I'm playing against them, right? Because I have played teams that don't use them against teams that do use them, and I haven't been in as, like, when I lose, I'm not feeling hard done by. I didn't feel like I didn't get a chance to play the game. It's that situation where when it happens, you look at it and go, oh, I forgot to plan for that. And, you know, a lot of times people don't like to think an extra thought. So, I mean, those are all the negatives I could think of. It's like all the negatives for an ID card. It's like, I get to play the game still. This is not Faust level crap. This isn't even on the level of the Infinity Gauntlet. There's a couple that are pretty good, but they're not unstoppable in any way, shape, or form. So.
And if you have the right team to go, and I can't even say the right team, it's just if you play your turn well enough, they end up being extra points for you.
Yep.
Because a lot of the ones that are being used are lower end points, so that lower end guys can bring them in. And then a good 1 or 2 attacks, you've got an extra 40, 50 points sitting on your score sheet now.
I lost to Emily in Canadian Nationals by 30 plus points. And she still had her entire team on the board. And it was like a 265 to 250 or 230 odd points. Like, that's how close that game was. And she had her entire team on the board. And I was like, well, I'll just keep killing these call-ins. I can. So, you know, it's all a matter of grand scale. WizKids likes money. These bring in money because these sell figures. And they allow the use of figures that we normally wouldn't think of using in some cases, right? In some cases, it takes a super rare that we are angry about pulling and goes, I can use that now. Or, you know, that Dark Knight, I think it was the Dark Knight Returns Joker was like, hey, I can use it on an ID card, and I'm cool with that. Or the super rare from Batman the Animated Series. it was cool, but I now have a use for him. You know, Two-Face. I'm considering using Two-Face as a call-in. It's a little iffy on what I can use for it, but I can. I'm trying to figure out how to use Poison Ivy to call in a tree dude to giant reach, hit somebody with flurry with trees, or bring out mushrooms. There's all kinds of nonsense I'm starting to come up with these guys, and that's the thing. It's like sometimes a character at face value is, oh my god, this character is useless. What am I going to do with this guy? And then for another, it's like, well, if I could use him for a turn, and it's it's all good. So I think we'll, like Amber said, I don't think we'll see the number that we saw when they first came out with Avengers Assemble, and then Nick Fury, and then the con exclusives. Like, I don't think we'll see that and Age of Ultron. Like, I don't think we're going to see that level of spam again. But I do think that these are here to stay, and we got to be ready for them. Amber, say goodnight to everybody.
Hey guys, I need to go to bed.
Amber's got to be up in
like 7 hours.
7 hours. So, off to sleep with you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Oh, I bumped the computer. Got to be careful. All right. I don't know, Lucas. Did you have any other thoughts on that? Because I know you like to just kind of hang out and chat with this.
Yeah. So the ID cards, they're frustrating for some because it feels like, oh, I got this really solid team that would do normally really well, except for that pesky Cyclops that's going to come in and hit me for 6, right? Like, that was the main reason why people are afraid to play Black Panther, is because you could just call in Cyclops with 5 points or even 3 points, bump him to a 6 damage, and your 250 point fig is now useless. But in the same token, I was talking with PJ the other week or whatever, and he was talking about secondary markets, right? And a secondary market that is expensive actually means that the game is healthy, because it means people are willing to invest in the game. So the fact that Wolverine was $100, yeah, it's annoying if you wanted a Wolverine, but it means the game's actually in a good spot because people are willing to spend $100 on a freaking Wolverine. And it's the same thing with ID cards, right? ID cards add diversity, like you said, and that it makes the game healthy because it allows for more diverse play. It's the same thing that resources did, same thing that special objects do. When you add additional elements to the game, it makes the game more complex and allows you to play things that normally would not be played. People always talk about a popper circuit being really fun and really cool. The problem is if you play a popper circuit, that means you've just cut out most of the elements of the game, and a new meta forms with figures that are now the best of the best worth playing. For example, if you're talking commons only, the first figure that comes to my mind is going to be the Cable from Deadpool and the X-Force.
Cable and Batman Beyond show up a lot.
Yeah, they're just stupid, right? They're stupid in a format where you only allow commons, because most commons are simple and they don't do a whole lot. And that's, the more complex the game becomes, the more diverse the builds are. Yeah, when the Infinity Gauntlet was out, everybody played the Infinity Gauntlet, but nobody was playing the Infinity Gauntlet with the same figure. Yep. Everybody was playing different figures with the Infinity Gauntlet. And I think that's a good thing. So I like ID cards. They're fun. I don't like how expensive they get sometimes, but you learn to build around them, you prepare for them, and you don't have to play them if you don't want to. But yeah, you definitely got to be ready for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of add to where he was going with that is, you'll also find in these popper circuits or these low common, like I'm working on the Everyman format, and that's kind of been a thing I like to do. I like to do it for a big prize, and I like to just let everybody shut up for about a minute and a half when they realize that the same person who won when they were allowed to use $1,000 team won when they were using a $1 team. So, it's that's why I kind of like that format. It changes a little, but it doesn't create a new diversity. It's something I've been kind of talking about in my show when I talk about it. So, all right, Mackle.
Alrighty, so have we heard any progress going on with the WWE figures? Like, I hopefully want to keep the interests, like, kind of stoke the fires of interest type of thing. Like, is there any insider or any hints or anything like that when we might see something, like down the pike, because. Hopefully, we keep talking about it, and we keep the hype up a little bit more and more and more, it might be good.
WizKids side, I mean, when we heard about them, we were some were excited, some were like, I don't get it. And you know, I've made my explanations for it. So it deserves to exist when a guy is flipping an ambulance with his bare hands. So because wrestling is, yes, very, very staged, very, very acted out. And as a result, yes, I do think Braun Strowman can go toe-to-toe with Superman. Come at me, bro. That being said, no news has come of it. And but right now it's that time of year where it's like, there is no news. I mean, even the WWE has been kind of quiet about things right now because they're just coming off of their holidays and whatnot. Like, I think tomorrow's gonna be the first live Raw in 2 or 3 weeks. So I think if we hear from anybody, it's gonna be like Xavier Woods had some kind of thing with WizKids. It won't be me. And just insider info. Just to pull the curtain back, we send an email when a new set's coming around, ask if we're gonna be able to do an unboxing. And that's it. That I'm not as close with WizKids as I would like to be. A lot of my game design insight comes from the fact that I work in game design myself. And even though I work in the digital space and the paper space are very similar in a lot of ways. I think John Romero wrote a book not too long ago where it was paper solutions for digital designers. And you start to kind of see where if you play a board game, and you work in, imagine you're me, and you work in video game design, and you know why certain decisions are made. You go play a board game, and you see from a different perspective why decisions are made in there. And a lot of the decision-making process that comes from that is utilized as well in the digital game space, because a game is a game. It doesn't matter the medium. The medium is just the interaction. So if I use a board and meeples, and I use a digital place, or you use a digital place, we're both doing the same thing. And that's kind of the key. So anyway, my insights are kind of based on my experiences, not on any kind of inside information I have. But I will step back a second a lot of time and I'll go, well, if you look at why this decision was made, it's because I'm kind of seeing like there's a reason and there's like a big step around for things and there's a big walk around of things. And then I also understand that game design and business are two clashing ideologies, right? And that's a thing people see. Like, I'm going at length and like I got no new WWE information. We're going to talk about it in a second. We can go back to that. So business and design are two clashing ideologies, but they do have to combine to kind of create a product. And as far as I'm understanding in the realm of WizKids, I think everything is going to happen all at once. So what'll happen is we're going to hear about the board game, and then we're going to hear about the HeroClix, and it's all going to kind of bam all at once. And it's going to be wrestling all up in our face, which is, you know, it's going to be like Rikishi with us in the corner. It's going to be all there, and it's just going to be right in our face, and I'm going to buy all of it. I'm going to buy it all because I'm wearing a Bullet Club shirt or hat and a Young Bucks pajama pants. I'm a bit of a wrestling mark. I'm a big old wrestling nerd. And I mean, you know, I do watch WWE as well, even though this is all New Japan stuff I'm wearing. So long and the short of it, I've gone at length. I haven't heard anything new. And I did write an article for Majestics a little while back, but the more and more I think about it, the more and more my mind changes on it. And I do believe I was wrong on one situation, right on another. And as far as I think I'm right that the Chases are going to be old school wrestlers, but I think I'm wrong in the Attitude Era being the first era that they go with. And I think we might just see our Roman Reigns and our Seth Rollins and our cool current wrestlers. That's not a bad thing necessarily. I just figured, you know, business would make the decision to tell the design guys to go watch some Attitude Era wrestling, and then we get big boobies and stink faces in our HeroClix. So oh man! And if they make a Sable HeroClix, I quit. I quit. just kidding. I'm not going to quit if they make a Sable. I'm going to buy 2 of them. Luke, are you wrestling Mark 2?
Yeah, you can just jumping in here real quick. You can have a Sable wrestler and a Sable Prime manager. Again, make 2. I have 2 Sables in the set.
Maybe.
All I know is that if there's no John Cena with traded stealth, I'm gonna riot.
Oh my! Everybody takes that "you can't see me" thing a little too far with it. I will accept that as a chase or a convention exclusive John Cena, but
it's a wonderful meme.
John Cena, because I can see him.
It's a wonderful. No, you can't. There's nobody there. They've got a Bumblebee movie came out, and there's scenes where it's just pointing at nobody. I don't see him.
Who's yelling at these guys?
John Cena with "You Can't See Me" will be great. I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I used to back in like 2008, around there, and so right when D-Generation X was coming off of being done. So I mean, DX, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels would be great. Would love seeing that. But I don't know. Otherwise, I'm not a huge wrestling buff, so it doesn't really interest me. If there's something meta in it, I'll buy it. But otherwise, I'm probably gonna be like, I'll get the John Cena with "You Can't See Me," put him on my shelf, and otherwise I'll keep it the way it is. I don't know.
Your shelf? Why should it be Spacer? I don't understand.
Oreo. It's just an Oreo. That's what the sculpt needs to be. Just needs to be an Oreo, like Despotellus. That'll be wonderful.
You know, I'd accept it as a con exclusive as well, because we had that Ant-Man a while back, or the Invisible Woman con exclusives that were just the bases. That's why I accept it as just that's the only way I accept it. Or if I happen to pull a pack that has a John Cena in it and it fell off the base, I'm not putting it back on.
No, never. Never. Playing at that event, be like, "Where's your John Cena?" Exactly. I have no idea.
I would put it between my fingers. I'd be like, put what? So it kind of looked like I'm using Donkey Kong as an example here. It's like, what? But yeah, no news. I'm hoping. I'm still hyped. I haven't lost faith in it, but the only announcement we got was a contract got signed, and what you were about to witness is the likeness rights fun of these are going to be based on real people. And all of the real people have to get their figures in their hands. When is wrestling back? When is the WWE back in New Jersey? Because I think that's when they're gonna get a chance to be like, oh, that's what I'm gonna look like. Okay, cool. Because again, and we dealt with this when I worked at Games Workshop, or rather, our company dealt with this when we were in when I worked at Games Workshop. I worked there when they first got the Lord of the Rings movie license. And I was kind of privy to some of the information, because Games Workshop as a retail store is also the same company that creates the product, right? So I was privy to some information. Some of that information is they cast the model, or sorry, they make mock-ups, as it were, and then they show the actor or actress who plays the role, and they have the final say on whether or not that figure is going to be their likeness. And one actor sent theirs back 3 or 4 times, and they sent one back, and they were like, I'm pretty sure she's going to send this one back because this looks uglier than the last one. And I already gave it away. It came back, and she was like, all right, approved. Oh, thank goodness. So that's got to happen with the pro wrestlers. Now, in a lot of cases, a lot of these guys are going to be like, that's me? That's amazing! And others are going to be like, what? Because we got to deal with WizKids models here, guys. This might be a bit.
The chases will be spot on. The commons will be damn near unrecognizable.
Because half the chases are going to be dead. My predictions on the chases in the first one are going to be like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, and Andre the Giant. So maybe Hogan might have a problem, or Hogan will come in and be like, what am I getting for this, brother? Although brother might be a different word depending on who shows him the figure. All right, Mike, get me off of this before I start being very offensive towards Hulk Hogan.
You're not gonna like this next. Well, next question, like, because like I was kind of like angling that last question towards like, okay, so with the speed of where everything is going, like, could this be like a fall 2020 release or something like that, or like it's not going to be anytime soon. Or like maybe like summer, or, this upcoming summer. I don't know what they're going to target for that.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, WrestleMania is in New York, so I think it's Brooklyn, maybe, I don't know. I do know it is in New York, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from Jersey, which is I mean, in the grand scale of things, it might be an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from where they're going. I don't know. Actually, it might even be in Jersey. You know, I'm going to look this up right now. I'm just going to stop talking and figure it out. This is WrestleMania 2019. It is in the MetLife Stadium, which is actually in New Jersey. So, guess what? I think they're going to spend a little time in New Jersey showing them the 3D model mock-ups. Because that's the other thing. I don't think they're going to show them the physical figures. I think they're going to show them the 3D models that we get to see when we're first previewing figures. Like, oh, this is amazing. I hope they never see the end product. Look, I love the work that WizKid's done, and every year their figures start to look better and better. But we do have to discuss the fact that when you compare to the other model games that exist, like Bolt Action, like Warhammer, like, we're not exactly top gunning it here. But that, that's part of the price you pay for pre-painted mass production figures. I mean, we have to accept that. So chances are Jersey will be where they get to see their first look at the 3D models, maybe. And then from there, we'll see how quickly it takes from WizKids from there to get their way into production. But if it's going to be any time, it's going to be late 2019 or early 2020. It's definitely not happening overnight. I mean, again, a contract signing happened last year. I mean, as well, it wasn't until the holiday season that we got the 2017 contract signing Magic the Gathering stuff from WizKids, and that turned out to be models for them to use in the D&D Ravnica campaign. So it takes a while. Like, contract signing is just step one, and I mean, even then, I don't know I don't know what the contract signing consists of. If there's a proof of concept required, or if that proof of concept for them was, look, we make HeroClix, we've made Pacific Rim, we've made Yu-Gi-Oh. What the heck's Yu-Gi-Oh? You know what? Ignore it. We've made sports guys. You made sports guys because they did make a baseball game way back in the day. We make but the first thing was like, we make board games. Couldn't we sign a contract for board games? Like, oh, okay, what kind of board games do you have? Here's our board games. Oh, these are neat. Cool. Do that. We also make another game. Are we gonna see a percentage of that? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll do that too. And you'll also probably find that there's enough crossover between wrestling and HeroClix fans. I've found that this set will do well enough as a gravity feed type thing. I think. I don't know. I think there's more crossover for wrestling and HeroClix than there is for Star Trek and HeroClix. At least in my experience in the world out there, because I've seen a lot of guys in wrestling shirts that, like much like Bullet Club hats, you don't know it's a wrestling gear kind of thing unless you're in that life. So, but yeah. So again, to kind of piggyback off the last question, I'm excited to see it. I'm going to be patient and accept when I get it.
Alrighty, so just this was saving the last two for fun questions if we had enough time here. All right, and of course this my prepared list have been around for quite a month now, and so hopefully I didn't ask this before or last year. HeroClix Christmas tree, awesome or tacky?
Tacky's in the eye of the beholder. And if I beheld a HeroClix Christmas tree, I'm game. I'm all game. I might steal some, depending on what you put on there. It's like, oh, did you put a trench on there? I need more of those. Didn't you have a trench? I'm trying to remember what the tree looked like. Here's that thing, and I hate that now I finally get a public forum to say that. Let people have fun. You know, I'm at this point where it's like, if somebody's doing something and you consider it tacky, shut up about it. Because if they're smiling, where's the damage in that, you know? Like, I know a guy who's got an absolute gutter palate, and I've insulted him for it. I look back and I was like, but he enjoys that food. Why am I being so mean? And it's like, you know, let the guy eat. But don't, you know, I really give him a hard time when he tells me I should eat that way. He's like, no. That's where I draw the line, right? So if somebody's having fun, they have a HeroClix Christmas tree, awesome. I want to see it even. Send me pictures if you have a HeroClix Christmas tree. And I'll share it on my Facebook and maybe even on my Instagram. I don't know. And I'll just be like, this is the coolest thing ever because I will like that. And some of my jerk friends will be like, not really my thing, but all right, cool. Or, you know, someone will be like, why would you do that to a Christmas tree? And I turn to them and say, let people have fun. Because let people have fun. You know what I mean? Like, we all meet and congregate in a room to play with superhero toys and use little cubes to randomize outcomes. Like, okay, that's how we have fun. Some guys dress up like their favorite characters and go watch them throw a ball on a field. Right? Like, I mean, everybody has their own fun in their own way. And if you're really devoted to HeroClix and you found a reason, like, I got a bunch of extras if you want to make some ornaments, man. Just say the word and they're in the mail on the way to you. I'm probably going to do a thing where, like, on one of my videos, I'm just going to pull up my buckets of, like, modern extras right now. It's pretty shameful how bad it's gotten. Because I personally had a bad year for getting out to playing HeroClix in 2018. I only went to major events. And as a result, I didn't get to organize the brown bag event. And now if I try to organize the brown bag event, I need 100 people to show up for me to even remotely make a dent in those bins. And it would take me like 3 weeks just to organize the brown bags. It's such a, like, I should do it one day. I'll live stream like the process it takes and just bore people for 3 hours. It would be a nightmare. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's a good use of extra HeroClix. I think it's a pretty neat idea. If you're that big of a HeroClix fan, decorate your tree like a HeroClix. Do your Clix tree. That's awesome. My Christmas tree was right behind me. It's already down. I maybe have it up from like, we usually have it up from December 15th to December 27th. It's up for 12 days down. So, I mean, making those ornaments would be not worth my time. Part of that is we live in a small space with 3 children. And, I mean, a Christmas tree just clutters. It just adds to the space being taken up. But, you know, if somebody's got it, it's cool. I've seen some ridiculous Christmas trees. I don't poo-poo those people. I kind of look at it and go, that took a lot of effort. Good on you. Because sometimes things take a little bit of extra effort. You know, I mean, I've been watching Awesome Games Done Quick on Twitch, which is a charity stream and people playing video games fast. And my dad used to, like, my dad plays video games, but he doesn't understand that way of playing video games. And I turned to him one day and I was like, well, for one, some people have fun in a different way. And two, sometimes these guys just really like these games, finish it properly the first time, and they're like, how can I do that faster? Right? And then they start cutting corners and finding their way to do it get to the credits fast. And some people, they like to do everything all at once, but they want to figure out how they can do it as fast as they can. And there's that whole community itself. It's built into other things. We as HeroClix players, we have our wackiness about us. Some of it is in the way we play the game. Some of it is in the way we accessorize the game. Some of it is in the way we make a YouTube channel and try to make laughs about HeroClix. I mean, everybody kind of celebrates this game in their own way. And if a HeroClix tree is the way it goes, or a HeroClix Christmas tree is the way it goes, good on you. Find out a way to hang them on your walls, and that would be another cool ornament, you know? Like Christmas tree wreath, or a HeroClix Christmas wreath. At a distance, it would look fine. And then you got real close, like, what am I looking at? You know, a good example is we're such big comic nerds and HeroClix nerds. I wish Amber was here for this, because our cake topper for our wedding was the Hulk and the She-Hulk over a bunch of beat up Hydra soldiers. The Hulk was done up in a tux and the She-Hulk was done up in a wedding dress. and they were made with HeroClix. So I've seen all kinds of neat stuff. It doesn't bother me. Be as tacky as you want to be, just as long as you're having fun. That's the way I put it. What about you, Luke? Would you put up a HeroClix Christmas tree, or would you have a problem with it?
Not 2018, but 2017. I had a HeroClix Christmas tree in my apartment. My girlfriend really wanted a Christmas tree, and my roommate got one at the time. So he put it up, and we threw a bunch of Clix on it all over the place. Just a bunch of old random garbage. I think there was like a White Lantern something or another, one of the convention exclusive ones or OP kit ones that was like missing a head and an arm, and just a bunch of random stuff. But yeah, it was fully decked out and Clix all over it, and then on the top of it we had a Rick from Rick and Morty loot crate, giving everybody the double bird, which we thought was pretty funny, as our star. But no, I think it's fine. I mean, it's your own dang house. You do whatever you want in your house, and nothing wrong with that at all. So all the power to you. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I didn't put up a tree this year because I'm kind of a Grinch, but
yeah. You know what? When it comes down to it, finding a way to repurpose HeroClix is probably the best thing in the world, because this game has so much waste when it comes down to like when you're done with this stuff, if you don't play Golden Age like me, you have to sell it to people who do, and then when you're done with that, there's only so much you can sell. Then you're stuck with it, and that stuff is the nightmare. And I like finding a way to repurpose that has been a dream. Like, it's so hard.
We've been fortunate in our area where there's a guy who gets little kids, into playing, like the 9, 10, 11-year-olds, gets them all to play and stuff. So I find that all those, CURs that you can't get rid of, that you're not wanting for a collection, they're willing to take them off your hands. Either give them to them for free or, 25 cents a figure, whatever. They'll take them. Usually they don't know any different. They don't care. They have figures they can play the game with now. So
I'm almost at the point where it's like 25 cents a pound and I'm good. That's how bad it is right now. They're sitting in baskets. It's kind of sad. All right, Mike.
Last question. I almost forget it. Maybe I should have asked this one when Amber was here too, or maybe I'll just ask in a couple weeks here when the next one comes around. What are your HeroClix resolutions for this upcoming new year, if any?
My big one is to practice more. I embarrassed myself a lot this year because of a lack of practice. I had a couple lucky streaks in some places, and I had a lot of like just bad results. And practice has been the thing I preach, and it's the thing I'm not doing, and it's reflected on my year. The big thing I did practice this year is the thing I did well in. It was team seal builds, because me, Tom, and Steve did pretty fantastic in Team Worlds as far as like we didn't win, but we only lost one round, and that was to the guys that won. And that one round was the top 4 round. That was it. That was the only round we lost, because in that scale of going 2-1 as a team, we only lost, our team as a whole only lost 2 games out of 12 games in Swiss. Like, we did very well as a team, and I'm very proud of the way Tom and Steve did. And a big part of that is we spent a lot of time. Like, what I would do is I would randomly go and buy 6 Battle World packs. I got a lot of Battle World junk now, and I'm ashamed of myself because of that. But I would list all the figures. I'd email Tom and Steve, like, what would you build with these? They never got back to me, but I think they were sitting in there like, oh, yeah, okay, I see that. And unfortunately, in about 2 out of, I think 3 out of 4 of the builds, or the pulls that I sent them, had a Morgan Le Fay, and we didn't get a Morgan Le Fay in our builds. So it was probably the first time we built without Morgan Le Fay. But we got a good knowledge base for the set, and then when it came to building, it reflected in how all of us felt we needed to build our teams. And, that, like I said, that practice reflected. So this year, it's time to construct and practice a little better than I did last year. That is that's a complication. Like, there's less complications in my life as far as schedule is concerned. It's just a matter of herding the cats that I like to call our team. We do all live in different cities. We all as a whole are spread out. Mike lives in one area of Toronto. Tom and Jay live in another part of north of Toronto called North York. It's still a part of Toronto. And then I live in another city, Mississauga. Like, we live in 3 different areas altogether. We're spread out, and it's hard to get everybody in one place, especially without myself driving. Guilty is charged on that one. It's something we're working on this year. Amber is getting her driver's license. She's going for driving lessons. I'm going to restart the process of getting my driver's license back because, long story short, the way our system works is we have a 3-tiered driver's license. The first one's called the G1 in our province, where that's effectively your learner's permit. I'm not allowed to drive a car unless there's an experienced driver in the passenger seat. Then there's the G2, which is you're allowed to drive, go nuts, but you have a 0 tolerance on alcohol, and certain limitations on the passengers in your car. Because I didn't do it until my 20s, those limitations just don't exist for me. Because I'm now in my 30s. Those limitations are even less of a problem for me. And then there's the full G, which is it doesn't matter, drive. There's like a minimal tolerance for alcohol, but I mean that's like you had a beer an hour ago sort of tolerance. That's the kind of tolerance we're talking about. And so anyway, long story short, I ended up at the G2 when my car broke down, and everybody who owed me a favor suddenly disappeared. And I needed to go for my test, and I needed a car for it, and nobody was available, and I didn't have the money to rent it from a driving school because that's the service that a lot of driving schools offers. Like, hey, for $100, I didn't have a credit card at the time, and it was a very bad time in my life that I am not in right now, and it's just a matter of regaining those steps and just getting back to the swing of things. So hopefully Amber has her G2 before the end of the year, and we're going to invest in a minivan because we have a small army that we like to call a family, and we should be a little bit more mobile by then. Now, granted, of course, the problem with that is that if Amber's driving and I'm not, whoops, she's got to drive me around. So I'm still at the same problem. But then at the same time, I've had a license in the past, so I don't need to go through the driving school process. So I just need to get the license, wait the time, go get the next part of the license, wait the time, then go get that last part of the license. That's really all I've got to do at this point. So long and the short of it is, I'm gonna get the practice. Like, I started talking about my driving problems all of a sudden. This is the Patron Hangout in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. Join us at patreon.com/creativeclicks. So yeah, my transportation has been an issue, but of course I've always been willing to host. I have a kitchen table we've been able to have practice in this house in the past. And it's just a better matter of coming up with ideas. I was very busy at work, and HC Realms just wasn't on my radar for my lunch break, because what was on my lunch break radar was my work. And that's just how hard I was working at the time just to finish where we were. So long and the short of it, practice this year, practice, so that I don't necessarily. One of those problems I have is I don't have the expectation to win. And I probably never will, because I'm at this weird mindset where I always want to play my own. And part of the problem playing my own is that my own often isn't the thing. And it's not until you win with your own that it becomes the thing that people start to look at it. So, like Tom's Gotham City team, it was his own. He rolled that, he made that, and then he made it a thing. And because of his success. So my goal this year is to make a thing that people look at and go, that isn't that monster team that I won a tournament with by once. Because apparently somebody copied that off of me. And they're like, I like this team, I'm going to play it. That felt good. But I do at some point want to make sure that I don't have a repeat of this year's. Because it was either super embarrassing or super awesome for my results. So here we go. We're going to ride that ride and see how it goes for me. And that's the big one. The other big one is to find a way to get rid of my waist. Luke, you got one?
Oh yeah. You know, you're fortunate enough to live within sounds like 50 miles of your teammates. So, I live I live 400, 500 miles away from my teammates.
Oof.
So, if you could find a way for PJ and I to practice in person on a, you know, monthly basis, that'd be great. So I don't have to drive 15 hours to go see him.
You know what you do? Here's what you do. You make sure there's a lot of rock tournaments in your area, and then he'll just be there. And you make sure he crashes at your place, and you play a bunch of HeroClix while you're at your place.
You know, I've tried to host rock events. It's got to be a pretty hefty rock event to get somebody out here for Clix. But no, Roll20 has actually been great. If anybody's not using Roll20, get on that. It is fantastic. There is no better tool for practicing HeroClix right now. You have every asset available to you as long as you can figure out pictures and anybody, anywhere, anytime. It's wonderful. As far as Clix resolutions, I don't have the same limitation you do, luckily for me, where I can actually drive. I can't fathom not being able to drive. That sounds horrible. I'm sorry
that
you
have a really good transit system where I am, and I live very close to work.
Transit system doesn't exist where I grew up. So I grew up in a town of 3,000 people. You had to drive 20 minutes to get to school every day. You got a license at 16, and you got a $1,000 piece of junk car, and you made it work.
Yeah.
But no, as far as resolutions, for me, I've had an interesting year for Clix in 2018. Anytime there was like 20 or 25 people or less, I never made less than top 4. So I always was at least top 4 in every event that I had with 25 people or less. Anything with more than 25 people, I decided that I would have a losing record every single time in an event, and it was frustrating. Same thing happened to me in October. I missed top 32. I missed top 8 in Tulsa. I, missed top 16 at Nationals. I didn't make it to Worlds. So I want to be able to, I think, perform better on a larger scale. And part of that is exactly what you're saying. I think I have a hard time getting down a team because I feel like something's lacking, or I feel like it's not good enough, or one thing beats it, and I'm afraid of playing it because something beats it. And I think what I need to do is I just need to be more sure of myself and my play, and be like, all right, the event's in 3 weeks. This is what I'm playing now, and we're playing this no matter what. So we're gonna practice it and learn it the best I can, and just go in with confidence. And the confidence is huge. Me personally, I'm kind of sad to see Shredders go. I haven't had a chance to play them in an event, but I feel like I need to play them just because I can't roll dice to save my life.
You know what? That was my relation. I had the same problem you had, and I started realizing, I don't have to be using dice. And that's when I discovered the Red Lantern power battery. And then after that with Shredders, is like, I don't have to be rolling these dice. Beyond that,
dice aren't required anymore.
I'm making 1,000 of them, so.
But I mean, yeah. So I'm gonna be. That's my big thing this year. Is if I'm gonna be playing in an event, I want to basically just be ready with a team at least 3 weeks in advance. And even if it's not a team I built, I want it to be ready. I want to know it. I want to practice it against as many things as possible. That way, when I show up to the event, I'm ready. So I hope I can't make it to Nationals this year, U.S. Nationals. I've got a prior engagement, but I hope to be at Worlds, and then maybe October and some other big events. If that's the case, then we'll hopefully have a better showing than my last.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I've been to so many tournaments, and in every single tournament, when I switched my team because I was afraid of one team, you know how many copies of that one team I was afraid of showed up?
0.
Absolutely. And just think about that, and that is why I just play my team. From now on, I just play whatever I'm going to play. I ignore. Like, I look at if there's a baseline team, I make sure I can beat it. If there's a team I'm going to lose against, I don't fear it. And that's, you get in there, and then that's the thing. It's only when you look at it and go, there's no way that team's going to show up. And that's when you play 4 rounds of HeroClix against Unimines.
Well, that's exactly it, right? So at Rocktober, I was playing Avengers going, all right, I've got a +6 theme. I feel pretty confident. I need to win map in order to do well. I lost map every single round. And I'm just like, No,
This should not be
I'm not.
happening.
I'm not supposed to be playing against Unimind and Lockjaw. I'm supposed to be playing against Wolverine Swarms and X-Men and still winning map and winning. And it's like, no, yeah, it was very unfortunate. I missed. I don't know if I misjudged or what happened there, but man, yeah, it's rough. It's not. I gotta be more prepared, I think, is the big thing. So
I do. I have to ask. Did you see Dial H for HeroClix? HeroClix players impressions?
Oh yeah, we were very flattered here in Sioux Falls that he decided to include us. Calder is a regular at my store that I judge at. So the fact that myself, Isaac, and Kevin were all mentioned in that was great. He was not wrong for me.
I liked yours, like, critical miss.
that is how I play HeroClix. The last time I played, I wasn't able to play Friday, but the Friday before that, every single round I crit missed at least once. People do not believe me on the forums and the Facebook groups that my dice rolls are bad. But anybody who's actually played the game versus me, so any of my teammates on Phoenix Nest or any of my locals, they will confirm that my dice rolls are absolutely horrid. And I cannot hit the broadside of a barn when I need to. It's bad. It's really bad.
I can tell you, I bring out the worst and the best. Like, the nicest people in the world, they get angry at my dice rolls. Like, three people I've seen just go, what the hell, Jason? One of which was Howard Brock the year he won Worlds in that tournament. Where he's like, Jason, I swear to God, I'm going to be so angry if you don't make this next attack roll. I was like, oh God, I hope I do this time because I don't want Howard Brock angry at me. That same year, I had a game against Chris Stockhouse in Michigan, and he was angry at me because I called my shot on it. I turned him and was like, okay, so here's the situation I'm in right now. I need a hypersonic breakaway on this one. I am going to roll that one. What's worse is I'm going to need to use my probability control for my Mary Marvel, and I'm going to waste it on getting another one, and then I'm going to be stuck with this Mary Marvel based to your character about to die. And not only did I exactly call my shot, it happened the exact same way I described it was going to happen, and Chris was like, come on! And then this year, round 1 of Singles Worlds, great player, and unfortunately, my tired brain has taken over me. I forgot his name, and I feel bad about it. So I apologize to my opponent, but he was playing 2 Shredders with a Pip the Troll. It was a great team, and I made one. Like, I had like a 13 attack with my Kirk at one point, and you shouldn't miss with a 13 attack, right? No. And I think it was like my 4th miss with the Kirk, and not only that, but the Kirk took the damage on the on the Venom harness every single time. It's just like, all right, cool, great. And it was like, what was worse is it was karmic because I would forget to roll it, and in the middle of the turn, like, hold on a second, you might have less defense on this Kirk to deal with. Yeah, hold on a second.
Anyway, too nice, Jason.
Yeah, so I understand your bad dice situations more than anybody. So if you need to confide in somebody, I'm the man. Michael, do you have any Clix Year's resolutions? I want to hear yours.
Yeah, I think I want to start playing in other locations. My work and my current work scenario doesn't kind of lend to any flexibility type of thing like that. I do tell them, hey, Thursday nights are my night to go out to play HeroClix. So they've been good enough to give my 2 days off per week for that. But if I want to go play on a Saturday night or go travel out to across the state to go a couple 100 miles away to play in regionals like that, I have to take the. But I want to try to at least maybe go to other different venues and stuff, like just being it's kind of player based around that I normally go to Thursday nights, got a little bit dwindling there, and I want to maybe explore the other options if I want to continue playing. I also want to maybe try and this is probably not going to happen, but maybe take a vacation in Canada, say maybe Ontario, and maybe play up there once to at least say, hey, why not go on vacation like that? You know what I do for a living like that. I'm sure my room and board is going to be real. Let's say not necessarily cheap, but I can arrange that to stay up there and probably get maybe try to get up there in Ontario and play a game or two up there. And I want to at least try to build more better teams, and at least try to build more meta teams. I can try and accumulate enough pieces where I can play some of the meta teams that other people have won with, and try that more instead of being so, maybe not say stubborn with my builds and stuff like that. I know I'm a terrible builder, but I want to at least feel for other people's teams that they built, and try and copy them, see what's everything turns around.
All right. It is, and you have to admit it to yourself, it is stubborn to not, I'm guilty of it myself. Just trying to stay off meta I'm stubborn about it, and I gotta stop being stubborn about it. And it's part of my get better this year situation. So don't feel bad about it. One of my best Worlds results was when I kind of folded and said, all right, it's time to play what everybody else is playing. Granted, that was a particular year where it was like Jakeem Thunder and Goblin King were kind of ruling the roost, and the tank was a part of everything, and you kind of needed that as well. So, kitty. Again, one of my best results in Worlds was that. So sometimes it's okay to fold. But then again, my best result in Canadian Nationals was what is this? What are you thinking? And even what is his name? Edward Sheldon on his show. I heard him talk. He's like, you guys just put things on your teams and just go, eh? Because I got third place. He's like, I think I see what he's doing, but what? Shifting Focus Superman, Clarion the Witch Boy, Mr. Mix's Pit Lake, and an Indigo Battery. You figure it out. All right. Was there any other questions there, Mike?
No, that's it. Other though, I want to put a call out. So if anybody has an extra exo specs, I don't see any on the other guys. I don't see anybody around. But if anybody needs maybe a extra incentive for maybe a Chronos, hint, hint, hint. Okay, let me. All right, very last question. Who would you rather not play against in a team? 2 Chronoses or 2 Giant Girls?
What size Giant Girls? I'm sorry, which one is it? The uncommon or?
Yeah, I guess the one that gives you it's probably the one that grows that's the one that has the not necessarily or the free power action to retaliate.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm personally a little bit more afraid of the Giant Girl because that usually comes with a lot more than 3. But at the same time, my dice rolls are bad enough. I don't need you stopping my dice rolls from hitting. Right? Although, the idea of using... Can you use more than one Chronos? I thought he was unique.
Yeah, come to think of it, yeah, he did have the...
Silver ring?
Yeah, silver ring around it. Yeah.
So then, yeah, I'd be even more afraid of 2 of them, because, Judge, what the hell? I'd be afraid, what did he pay you? How I can double it? I think no, I can't double that. No, because then I'd remember I was at a tournament in America, and I don't have that kind of. Oh, geez, you guys have scary money. Costs a lot of our funny money. All right.
So, Yeah, that's it for me. Thanks once again. I want to wish everybody belated happy holidays. I hope everyone's holidays were terrific, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for having me on this time.
Hey, no problem. Thank you as well, Lucas, for your presence and your support. Love it. I want to thank everybody who's on the Patreon, patreon.com/marriedwithclicks, for your continued support as well. A couple of us have made some Clix Year's resolutions, and part of that is to get some practice in there. And you know what's a good way to get some practice is talking about your teams. And a good place to talk about your teams is the Patron Discord, where if you're a member of the Patreon, you can jump into our Discord and start talking about your teams. We have a whole chat room where we talk about teams. This year, my goal is to use that more frequently. In fact, every time I have used it, I have done better. My Kirk team had suggestions from some of the players in that, reminding me that certain things exist, and me going, oh yeah, I play this game a lot, but sometimes I forget that things exist, and it's time to start thinking about those things and using those things. It's one of those situations you gotta, if you have a group of people to talk to, and this is a group of people to talk to, and that's from as low as $1 a month gets you access to that, as well as this Hangout and just access to us. $5 a month starting this Monday is going to be part of a call-in show, or call-in portions of our live shows. It's all our content's going live. And then $10 a month gets you access to our action tokens, which we're going to be sending out soon. We have had a lot of trouble with the mail up here where we are, as our post service has been on a bit of a work slowage. They're not on strike anymore, but they are definitely not moving at their fastest pace. But Mike is showing off some of those cool action tokens made by our friends over at Big Bully Games. We send them out bi-monthly. We try to send out 2 months at a time if you are a patron for that long. This is part of our $10 per month patron thank yous, as it were. So with that said, guys, thank you, patrons. Thank you guys for watching. We look forward to another one of these coming up this month, where I'm going to try to include Tom and Jay in it as well. Maybe even have them in the same room, and maybe see if I can get some practice going for the year as it stands. It's probably easier to get Tom than Jay for that, but we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, guys, thank you guys very much. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the Metal Lab. Let's cue the music and